Hey guys, welcome back to ArtosisCasts. We've been doing a lot of deep dives lately. We did Jehoon, who turned out to be rich. We did Nada. And I have some others planned coming up. We've had some really interesting movement on the ladder and some players that you really wouldn't expect getting to the very top. The ladder feels pretty darn competitive right now. So those are some players I do want to dive into. Obviously, Rich has been number one on the ladder many times, and we're going to be taking a look at a couple of his games here. But this is mostly because, well, it's just been, like, not a lot of PVZs lately. Like, I'm a little worn out on casting Nada's games and all these Terran matchups. So we're going to have True down here in the bottom left going up against Rich. Both of them really in good shape. True qualified for ASL first last season by getting through and winning ACS. Rich doesn't try for ASL, but yeah, he has been ranked number one on the ladder pretty recently, and is probably the strongest ladder Protoss that is out there. So well, let's see a PVZ. Let's do it. It's a pool first here. And in fact, that is a 9 pool. Or, well, yeah, that was a 9 pool with extractor trick afterwards. So that's a pretty quick, like, more aggressive type of spawning pool here from True. Not too surprised to see. Is kind of an aggressive player overall. Gonna send that drone out, I guess, for some scouting here. Looks like he wants to make 6 lings as soon as this finishes, right? Or, yeah, there's 2, and the third one will be popping. Yeah, look at that. It popped out perfectly. Damn, dude. That's crazy. Really perfectly timed. But, yeah. I kind of wonder if there is some sort of timing here where you haven't been scouted. Maybe, well, here comes the probe, so I guess he is going to be able to figure it out. But I was going to say, like, maybe if the probe had gone down here next, can he, like, run up and maybe challenge the pylon? I could see that happening. But as soon as you see these lings coming out, you have to pull a couple probes, I think, and the Zealot back. Generally what happens is probe Zealot holds the ramp, and then another Zealot comes out here and kind of helps out. Now, this drone going to the third base. Normally we don't see this third taken. This one's much more common for Radeon, but we'll see how that works out for him. So 2 Zealots. Oh, interesting. He just keeps 2 probes on the ramp instead. 2 probes are much more breakable, but the reverse ramps are a little bit tricky to get up. They're kind of zigzaggy. It's really weird. I guess you can kind of see. This isn't exactly accurate to how they move. Like, these are different tiles that have been pasted together because ramps didn't go in this direction when the game was released. And map editors figured out how to do this, okay? But reverse ramps just don't feel quite right. They're not smooth. And again, these graphics don't do it justice. But when you play StarCraft all the time, you can kind of feel it as you go up and down. They're kind of jagged. They're like, it's a little bit hard to micro things well on a reverse ramp. Whereas you get a ramp like this, perfectly smooth. Super easy to go up and down. And you can see no weird tile patching. Okay, anyways, Rich has held off True's little attack very well. Obviously, it has slowed down the Nexus timing. He's already got 4 Zealots, 5th on the way. And the thing that I'm worried about here for True is eventually these Zealots are going to come out and attack. He makes a forge here, and look, he just stands there and he sends them quicker than I thought he would. 3 Zealots going out right now. He's going to micro back and forth a little bit. Little game of micro. Extra Zealot comes out, so True just pulls back knowing that that was about to pop. And this is actually kind of dangerous right now. It seems to me like these Zealots are going to do a lot of damage to this hatchery. Like, you have to make a lot of lings at the moment. He's bringing up about 10 lings right now with 4 more being made. So there's 6, there's 4, and the 6 actually went after the probe. Okay, they got it reasonably quickly, so not end of the world. I don't think he's going to lose the hatchery, just barely. I think he should be able to save it. So he's bringing these lings around. I think he's thinking about getting below them, and he doesn't. So the Zealots get behind the mineral patches. Very annoying indeed. And True will attack in. So these are going to get cleared. And actually pretty darn efficient for Rich overall. You know, I've actually had some people coming into my stream lately and asking me about some of these Zealot move outs where the Zealot just stands there and ends up killing like 2 Zerglings. It's like, well, how is that actually good, right? Because the Zealot costs 100, the Zerglings only cost 50. Like, why is that considered a good move? And, you know, something to mention is, well, first off, for Zerg, there's like, the cost efficiency is very different. The biggest thing I think, of course, I should mention first is Larva, you know, make units and drones. So anytime you're forcing units, you're forcing not drones. Okay, so that's like less drones that they will have because of that. So it's like an indirect economic damage, even if you are trading at an inefficiency. But yeah, like because Zerg has less workers and thus generally mines less, and they're more supply efficient by miles as well. You know, it's, yeah, you're killing half the value, but you've stopped, like, let's say that, you think that it's even for a Zealot to kill 4 drones at the beginning of the game. I mean, 4 lings, because it's cost equivalent. Well, that's 2 drones that don't exist. And yeah, I feel like I'm not doing a great job explaining this, but that's the thing. Is it really matters. The hardest thing, okay, if you start playing Zerg right now, and you haven't played Zerg and you played more classical RTS games, you're going to find that balancing when you make drones and when you make units, that is the difficulty of Zerg, is knowing when can you make drones, when can you make units. And that's like when you're trying to figure out how to beat Zerg too, you have to look at it and say, okay, when can I make them make units when they don't want to? When can I catch them making drones when they shouldn't? Those types of things. So that's like a huge part of the difficulty of the race. And keeping consistent pressure on, that is the whole key to playing against Zerg. And that's what the Zealots do. Okay, enough of that. Hydralis Den coming up here for True. He has that Spire as well. We have Carapace coming up for the Spire, for the Flyer Carapace. +1 missile attacks. I hope True plays that style that everyone has kind of grown to love a bit. I know I certainly have. Where he just goes Hydra Muta all game. And the Mutas just keep getting made, and he keeps on trying to push everything back and pick off High Templars nonstop, that type of thing. All right, nice move there from Rich, getting rid of the Scourge before they can hurt an outcoming Corsair. 5 Mutas on the way. But only 5. The 6th Muta makes a big difference. 5 one-shots a probe. If we see more than 5, then it's a pretty big commitment. 5 is not a big commitment. So Rich's Zealots come down. Do start getting hit by these Mutas. Of course, legs are about to finish for these Zealots. Gonna go ahead and run away. Continued Corsair production. I think keeping your Corsairs alive against True is incredibly important. Now, to be fair, this was a layer rush. This was not like a 3-hatch Hydra, which might get you to have no Corsairs, in which case we see True sometimes really excel with like his Muta switches in and out of Hydra. But here there are going to be a lot of Corsairs, so like he's got to actually clear those. Now his +1 Flyer Carapace isn't done, but the +1 air attack is not quite done for the Corsairs either. And you can see Rich pulling back. Oh god. He actually kills most of those. And +1 actually just finished. Doesn't quite get the cannon, but those were very good skirts. That was a very good start there for True. 5 more Mutas on the way. More Scourge being made. Archon being morphed back at home. So I think Rich has figured this out. I think when he saw the more Scourge with the DT, it's like, oh, okay, you're still going Muta. So far, like, he is upgrading some Hydralisk stuff. He's getting that +1 ranged attack. But with a lot of Mutas being made, a Zealot Archon Corsair timing can be very, very strong. Let's take a look at the SimCity. Pretty good SimCity. Really good SimCity. Very hard for Zealot Archon to actually get in here. And what you'll notice is if Rich does commit on one of these bases, oftentimes what we see is the Zerg will hotkey the Sunkens and target the Archon. Because shields take full damage, so they take 40 from the Sunken colony. And they're large anyway, so they would take 40 anyways. But, like, that's huge. You can clear the Archon really quickly with those. By the way, actually, a little side note. I was watching a Flash stream the other day. And I saw him hotkey a turret to target a hurt Muta in a very scrappy game. It was very cool. Now, flying over the Archon. Oh, my God. True's got some balls there. Flies right over that Archon, taking some pretty massive hits. High Templar's in here as well. He's actually dealing good damage to those Corsairs. Only, what is this? 5 Corsairs right now. Diving. Dude, this is what True does best. Diving on High Templar. He's got that +1 KR pace, by the way. Corsairs down to 3. And look at the massive Hydras we made. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. 2 big hits kill 6 Mutas there. Well, you don't look for a second, and you get punished. All right, drones being caught by this DT. 3 kills already. Huge, huge, huge amount of Hydras being fielded right now. With the amount of High Templars that he picked off, I am a little bit nervous for Rich. Is he going to be able to hold on against this giant cloud of Hydras? DT, by the way, getting over here, killing the other 2 drones. Just completely destroying True's economy over here. So far what we're seeing is the Muta Scourge play from True has been excellent, but the ground unit movement from Rich has also been excellent, right? So, like, the Mutas are outplaying counter Muta, and the Zealots and Dark Templars are outplaying counter Zealot Dark Templar. So they're both actually doing a lot to each other so far. Now, Rich has his 3rd base up. He's adding those additional cannons as well. It does look very Rich favored after killing this hatchery. But I would not count out True yet, because all he really needs to do is if he gets some clean snipes off on the High Templar so that you don't have those size storms that you really need to deal with the huge amount of Hydralisks, he should be able to break in. Dragoon range just now starting for Rich. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 gates, adding another. Chasing around a couple Zealots here as he is starting another base. Doesn't want that to fall as well. Kind of annoying to deal with. But does catch those Zealots before they get in there. Now, I kind of like this defense. It's kind of a handsome looking defense there. A lot of Zealots and that 1 Archon coming down. This is such a Zealot heavy army. This looks like kind of old schoolish, but I guess with like how heavy the Mutalisks have been and how many gas units that they've sniped, it kind of makes sense that what you have left over is mostly Zealots right now. Upgrades at 1-1. He does have +2 on the way as opposed to +2 armor, which we see a little bit more commonly. +2 ranged attack is up here for True. Not that many Mutas right now. Rich trying to get a few shots on them there. Now, let's see. Rich's standing army looks very scary. Like, there is a lot of damage here, but not that many Psystorms. Like, he has 1 on each of these so far, but he will have 2 more storms coming up pretty soon. Then these 2 definitely, yeah, these both have double storms, so he's got a good defensive position here. But he can't just pull everything out of here, I don't think. Because if he gets attacked there, then he's going to be in real trouble. Now, quite a few lurkers being made. Not as much Muta switching as we're used to from True. It looks like he's going to go into I guess a more modern style. You know, the Mutas were useful. He did some things with the Mutas. Cool. And now he's into, like, the heavy Hydra lurker. Oh, is he going to burrow in a clump? Okay, he is spreading a little bit more. Sometimes we do see players just kind of burrow in a clump real quick there and die as Psystorm. Okay, good dodge on that first Psystorm for sure. Actually, not a bad dodge as well, but he is hitting Psystorms about as well as he can at the moment. Rich just plowing through these lurkers on the other side. Gonna be able to deal with those Mutas super easily with the Corsairs. And it seems like there probably is just enough here for Rich. He is going to pull back towards his high ground right now. More units rallying out. Oh, God. The Corsairs look... Oh, you know what? They were clicked on an egg, I think. I believe that's what just occurred there. Because they just kind of sat there and died instead of running away. They weren't aggroed by anything, so... Must have been a misclick. All right, so True has kind of control of the center right now. Rich here with his +2 Kadarian Amulet about to finish. Adrenal is actually already on the way for True. I hadn't realized that he's already up into that Hive tech. That's actually really good timing on the Hive. Adrenal going to be a big, big deal. Now, attacking in here has a very nice arc indeed. Pulling back a little bit, you can see as he gets down to just Dragoons, the battle is going to start to go out of favor for Protoss. Looks like he has just barely enough goons here to still kind of take this fight. And the Lings so far not greatly upgraded, but they do have +1 melee on the way. Adrenal not there quite yet. Will be there shortly as well. Really like the style from True. This is actually exactly what I want to see from True. He was very much known in StarCraft 2 for his Zergling play. Heavier Zergling production than all other top pros for the time that he was playing. And yeah, he had some good wins too. He had some very good wins. WCS Montreal, if I'm recalling correctly, won over Polt there. Again, a very Zergling-centric style. Very fun to watch. Yeah, look at this. Hydra Ling. He does have Adrenal. +2, +1, and then 1 melee attack. Not as many lurkers in here as I would expect. You know, it's something that we've talked about plenty of times in PvZs, where the thing that Protoss actually, or Zerg actually wants to go is Lurker Ling. And that's why +1 openers for Zealots are so important, because you force them into those Hydralisks. But getting into that, like a lot of times you'll see that as the main unit choice later on, where it's like heavy Lurker, heavy Ling, obviously Defilers, because it's the best unit ever made in any RTS. And that includes the Titan units in the bad RTSs. One Defiler would beat all of those easily. Lots of cannons up here. Single High Templar. Really good roaming from Rich, by the way. I should zoom out to kind of show this. You see how he just keeps moving back and forth? That's not useless clicking. Like, you actually need to roam with an army like this. It's very, very important, because if you just stand somewhere and Zerg runs in and attacks another location, they might be able to kill it off before you get there. What you need to do is roam back and forth and continually pick off units. It's very, very important. You're kind of zoning everything back. You're always on the move, ready to potentially counterattack, ready to intercept an attack like this. Look at this. He's getting over there before you can even get to the bridge. You know, Darkstorm goes down, has to utilize Psystorm here. Tries to get another one. Defiler dodges. Dragoons, of course, doing 0 damage under there. Nice plague onto those goons. I feel like we're seeing True with some better later game macro than we've seen from him. Does feel like the pros are practicing pretty hard right now in preparation for the second ASL season. And I gotta say, like, a lot of times, like, True is super, super aggressive. But this is a, you know, he's been somewhat aggressive. Like, he leans aggressive, but this has been just solid macro play. Even after losing his third base, he's done a really good job of recovering. Rich over here just playing as solid as ever. Getting that top right base ready. Some more plague farming going on here from True. I like the kind of spread he has. I like the amount of Lings he has sitting around. Reavers coming up from Rich. Love to see it. Love to see it. Shuttle speed. There's a robo. There's a robo. Yeah, 2 robos only right now. No, none over there as of yet. Very important to get into those lurkers against this type of style. Can't rely on Psystorms only. Need that extra splash. Another big attack up the side of the Archon, holding on tight for a little bit. DT actually wreaking a bit of havoc here without any Overlords until just now coming up. Rich has to be careful. Look at how he's getting closer and closer and kind of holding these positions. Once Dark Storms start coming up here, well, the Reaver is going to help. The High Templar has almost 3 storms saved up. Yeah, 3 storms now. But yeah, the Dark Swarm is like, the mass cannons just do absolutely nothing. It's like they just sit there and die. But very good storms. Look at these storms going down. Just ridiculous. Just leaving the goons there to tank a little bit extra. Reaver going to help to clean up what it can. Definitely. Oh, he already utilized all of his Psy Storms. So unfortunately, his damage here is almost gone. And as you can see, True just bullying his way in under that Dark Swarm. Two upgrades with, yeah, even +2 melee attack right now. Tons and tons of lings being made. It seems like Rich is going to fall apart now. Rich's supply has definitely fallen off. 34 probes only remain. He's got this base and nothing mining up there, unfortunately. He does have that extra Nexus. Maybe if he had a nice contingent, like 20 probes up there, we could give him a chance still, but definitely looking pretty darn bad at the moment. Very, very strong play out of True. I tell you what, when he lost the bottom right, I thought for sure, I'm like, oh, he's going to get cleaned up very easily here. But just excellent play fighting back and getting into like a regular kind of regular macro game. Rich, GG's. Hope that you guys enjoyed. I think that was an excellent game. They played another, so I think we'll check that out as well. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.